Okay, so can anyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, hi everybody. Seems like we have about 10 people. So we're gonna go with the basic 40-minute version of Zoom, so I'll make it quick. Okay, let me just share my screen. Everybody can see, right? So if one of you could like answer to me, that would be very useful because I'm going to share my screen and not going to be able to see the chat.
We can see.
Okay, so today's topic is developer versus architect, and it's kind of like my own journey. So I'll introduce myself a little bit and talk about the experiences I had. And if you have questions, just unmute yourself and talk to me right away. Okay, so I'm from Mongolia and I graduated in 2016, about 6 years ago in Turkey. And currently I'm back in my country, and I tried working as a project manager for a while. Didn't work out, so I changed back to my major, software engineer. And I've been working for almost 5 years consecutive. Yeah, I think 4 years in one company right now. And I have AWS certificate and Oracle certificate. And this morning I passed the Microsoft fundamentals. And usually I work on the backend coding, and I have some experience in web, mobile, and last two projects have been on blockchain. Yeah. So I'm a little bit of everything guy. And I work as a senior software engineer for about 2 years, I think. And my journey has helped me to realize something, that who is a developer, what does a developer do, and how do they become an engineer or architect the next level. And I have to say, it's not all true. everything I'm going to say is my opinion only, so don't take it too hard. Okay. So today's content is divided into three categories, three sections. First one is developers versus architect, and then how do you become a better one, and how did I become better, I think. Okay, so first of all, I told you that I worked as a project manager for a while and switched career, right? I actually graduated as a computer engineering, but we had some classes on project management, so I decided to become a project manager first. And then I quit. Why? Because I didn't like it. I felt that writing code was better for me, and I really like to build things and make something. So I decided to become a developer and leave the project management. And then when I became a developer, I mean like an official developer at work in some company, I thought that there was like 4 levels of development. And the first one is just a programmer. You do what you're told. Somebody says, so just write this code and you do it. That's the first one, the early stage. And then a little bit later, someone tells you to, I want some like a program to calculate the sum of two numbers. Then you're gonna do your own way. There's like 1,000 other ways, and you're gonna choose your one, which one is the best. So when you become a developer, you just do what you're told to do. You do it on your own. You try to substitute things, change things, and do it on your taste. So that's the level 2. And then a little bit later, you're gonna have to work as a whole. I mean, like what you're doing as a developer or programmer is just a fraction of the whole system, just the one model. But when you want to become an engineer, you have to think as a system. How is it going to work? What's the other criteria? If I do something like, is it going to change or is it going to break the other codes? So then you have to think it as a whole. That's the level 3. And I think most engineers, like, I don't know, like 80% or 70% are all engineers. They think as a whole. And then the next one, presumably the last, maybe there's more, but for me right now, it's the last one, and this is architect. What I mean by architect is you make a system, a whole system, but your system is going to be deployed somewhere on infrastructure, on a cloud, easy, or AWS or something, and it's going to work with other things like AWS notification service or email service or something. So third-party integrations, and that's where you get that's where you have to count for them. You don't have to just do your job and build your system and deploy it, but also think about other third-party installations and anything that can influence or affect your code, your system. So you have to become an architect to see it as a bigger than a whole. So this is the 4 layers of developer that I think. And what I'm trying to say is, when you're a developer, you can do things. You can build things and make something web, mobile app, or whatever. But when you want to become an architect, you have to count for other things, other measures, or something that affects you, or everything. So that's the main difference between a dev and architect. And okay. And are you guys listening to me? Is my mic okay? I'm hoping it is okay. Let me just check the chat.
You're good.
Yeah, I guess it's going great. Okay, let us continue. I'm going to try to explain all the questions if you have later. Okay, let me just. Uh, no, that's not what I was trying to do. Okay. Okay, so on to the next. So how do you become better? How do you become like the next stage, next level, or whatever? And for me, I think it boils into 3 main categories. The first one is communication. There's a stereotype that all developers, they're like nerds, they don't talk, they're like afraid, introverts, all that kind of thing. I mean, they're basically, some of them are true, but you don't have to be like that. You have to communicate to achieve your goal. So that's very important. At least, even if you don't want to talk, you can just write, just use Slack. You have to document things and you have to explain your thoughts to the other person so that they can understand, and you guys can work as a team, because in reality nobody works alone. At least there's 2 people working on something. So communication is very important. And the next one is asking for help. I think the all junior developers or the new developers, junior developers make is they don't ask for help. They try to do this just some task on themselves for 1 hour, 2 hour, or whatever it is, and they just mull over it. They spend too much time just trying to figure it out on themselves. And I don't think that's a good one, because there are already some people are ahead of you who have already done things or know the projects better than you. So you have to ask them for help, and there's no shame in that. That's just the way it is. And I think there's like the 30% of allocated time is a kind of golden rule for me. If I have 2 hours to do something and I can't make any progress in 30 minutes, so I'll go ask someone how is it going to do, or what happens, because if I spend 2 hours and then ask my senior or whoever it is, then I'll have wasted a lot of time, and I mean like the allocated time, all of it. So that's bad. So you have to try to optimize your time. I mean, manage your time and spend as much as possible you can. But if you can't, and if you're stuck, then you have to ask for help. And when you are asking for help, you have to present some findings. Uh, the other thing that a lot of juniors or some people do is like they don't do anything. They don't do any research or they don't do anything. Trying experiment. They just ask, "What is this?" If you just Google it, the answer is on the first page. I mean, the first result is the answer, but people don't do that. And that's, I think it's very wrong. And I find it so hard. When I encounter those people, I try to like tell them, don't you fucking Google something? Yeah, I mean, it's rude, but I try to tell them that you have to do some work yourself. And if you can't do the work, if you are stuck in like 30% of allocated time, it's already done, then ask for help. And when you ask for help, tell them like, I tried this and that, but it's not working. I think it might be this, but I don't know. Can you help me? That's the way to ask. Okay, that's the second thing. And the third thing is learn every day. It's obvious that technology is evolving. Like every day, it's new JavaScript library out there, and the trend is going somewhere. But you don't have to learn all of them, but you have to just keep in mind that you should learn something. Because if you are staying just where you are for 5 years, I mean, for 1 year, it's like you're going to be way behind. You should try to polish your skills or communication skills, whatever, but at least you should try to learn something every day. Uh, I mean, it's every day, it's not like an obligation, but try to keep in your mind, you should be learning something. And if you see this like to be, it's an anagram for my Medium blog, to be 1% better today, because I try to learn some things and try them. Okay, now I learned new thing and I'm going to share it with others. And I usually write it on my blog. And that's a very good thing. I mean, it works for me because when I learn something and try to teach others, try to like condense the information and write it into a blog, I learn it way better than just seeing and trying alone. Because trying to teach someone else makes you realize that you have to leave out the unnecessary information, try to make it as simple as possible, and that makes the whole learning process way much efficient. Okay, that's that's how you become a better developer. Yeah, for me, that's what I work. And then to become a better, these principles or these ideas helped me a lot. And the first one is test, test, test. I know that a lot of developers doesn't like tests. They don't like writing tests, or even if they have tests, they don't like running them. I don't know why, but when I was a new developer, I was a junior. I started out writing tests for the already existing system for like half a year, almost 6 months. I spent writing unit tests, scenario tests, and whatever. And if you're writing tests, then after you write tests and write code, you're going to see a lot of things differently. Okay, this was bad idea. I should write this way. Okay, this is like not efficient. Maybe I should uh, make it a three functions or divide it into four sections a little bit easier for other people to understand. So I think testing is very important and people neglect it. I think the people who doesn't like this never really wrote this before. They just started with hello world. Okay, next one is principles. There are lots of principles out there about coding, and the simplest one is quiz, dry, yagni, solid. And the idea is try to keep it simple. Don't repeat your code. You're never gonna use it. It means like use only necessary items and keep it like obvious, simple. Everybody, even a fool can understand. Non-computer major could understand your code. That's the idea. So it will be better if you use this. And solid is a little bit advanced one, but keep in mind it's very useful one, solid principle. And shortcut. I use shortcuts every day in my work because it might seem like writing the whole code or writing things on your terminal, just writing the whole word is easier. But I think if you can save like 1 second every time you write like Docker PS, Docker PS, Docker PS, and you multiply it by, like 30 times, in use the Docker PS command in 30 times in one day, and other commands like 30 times. And if you multiply it, the 1 second adds up to like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 hour for every day. And the whole month would be like one full day, and the whole year it would be like one full week of just wasting time for, no, not wasting time for, but spending time for obvious easy tasks. But if you use the shortcut and save that day, you're gonna have like a lot of free time, a lot of extra time that you can spend it on coding or researching or whatever you want. So try to use your shortcuts and try to see the big picture. That means it's related to the developer versus architect. When you're a developer, you just do what you're told and don't worry about nothing else. But if you want to become a better, if you want to become architect or just want to write a better code, you have to see the bigger picture. And that way, you will know that your code works the best way. Your code integrates with others. And then express yourself. I think it's obvious. The first one, communication. You have to document things. How is it working? The release guide or manual guide, and what it should do or what it shouldn't do. Because a lot of the time, people, coders spend looking and like looking at the codes and not understanding a thing for 5 or 10 minutes because it's so bad. So you have to express yourself through your documentation, through your verbal communication, and also through your code. And the last thing is consistency. I think it's very obvious. If you know about the 60 days challenge, right? The Udacity, it's just like that. 30 minutes coding a day is good, but maybe if you use 3 hours on the weekends only, that's not as effective as 30 minutes a day. That's the difference between consistency and just cramming all things at the last minute. Okay, those 6 are the better developer. Let me just check the chat again. Am I talking too fast? Read the freaking yeah, sure.
It's okay.
Yeah. Am I outgoing? Maybe, I don't know. I like to think like the developers shouldn't be like introverts. They don't have to be. I mean, they could be, but they don't have to be. Okay, so nothing new, I guess. Okay, good. Okay, I'll try to speak slower if you like, but this is the tempo I usually do. I usually do my talking or speech. So if you have questions or anything, just write it up here. Okay, next one. So this is the last one. I had 3 sections today. First, second, and this the third one is become junior to senior. I became a senior developer, senior software engineer in about 2 years. I think like exactly 1 year and 10 months or 9 months, almost 2 years. And through this process, I learned a lot. I mean, I was a noob. I didn't know anything. And when I graduated, when I graduated school, I thought I was like, okay, I'm good. But when I got into a job and do the everyday task, and then I knew like, oh shit, I'm not good enough. So I tried to learn a lot. I mean, to be better every day is like the motto for me, because I knew that I didn't know much, because I knew that I sucked. So I tried to catch up to the others, and I learned a lot. And these things are like a everyday thing to me now. We use GitLab for the repository, and most of our projects is on JavaScript, TypeScript. So we use ES6 standard linter. We use linter, so the code is optimized. The code is looks nice, formatted nice, and linter helps you in that keeping the principles and formatting nice. It's very good to use linter. I would highly recommend it to ones who doesn't use it. Please do. It's gonna save you a lot of trouble. And we use the Kanban. I don't know if you guys use it. Most of you do, perhaps. It's a boarding system. Like there's one board to-do list, like all the jobs that's going to be needed to be done, and the second board is like doing you are currently working on, and the third board is done, so that's finished. You don't have to worry about that, and that's the Kanban board. And GitLab has like same idea. GitLab board is exactly the same as Kanban board. So we use this. And then there's the KPT. If you guys heard of it, it's keep, problem, and try. Keep means like after a month, after at the end of the month, we talk about the things that we did good, things that were positive, and we're going to keep it. Like for the next month, we're going to keep doing that. And the problem is there was a problem about this task, this idea, or this thing. This linter is not working. That could be a problem, and that's going to be a problem. And we're going to list all the problems. And then the try is like we try to figure out how do we solve these problems. Is there any ideas? And we do this every month. I mean, we try to do this every month, but sometimes we delay it for the next one. So 2 months or 3 months at worst, but we try to do it every month. So we just get a feedback and try to evolve and get better. So this is very good idea for you to try in your teams if you don't have it already. And there's the agile. Uh, when I was a project manager, we used to work as a waterfall model. Like the requirements, coding, testing, and at last the customer review. But that's very bad. I know it takes a lot of time and lots of cost. It's very costly. So now our teams we use agile. We have a Monday meeting. So what are we going to do for this sprint this week? And then we do the scrum for every day, like 15 minutes from what we did yesterday, what we are going today. And there's a daily report after when you finish your job, you just write whatever you did on that day. And that goes is like communication, explaining yourself. It's the very important thing because if you're like uh, write too long sentences that nobody wants to read, this daily report is not going to be efficient. It's not going to be useful. So try to keep your reports small, efficient, and definitive, declarative, so everybody can understand. And then the last thing, document review. I'm sure everybody knows about documentation, but doesn't read half the time, me included. But it's very useful to have documentations, especially the systems you are building, because other people are gonna use them and they're gonna wonder what the fuck is that. So you have to write documentation that other people can understand. For me, I use. I mean, our team uses Lookback, and we uses the Lookback documentation almost every day. We don't know this thing, so we have to look at the documentation, and it's there. That's very convenient. And also, there's a review, code reviewing. We have this our internal system of reviewing the code on every merge request, and so that every team member knows the code base well, and they give their opinions, and we all write the same kind of code. Using the linter, using the principles, everybody can switch to anyone. That's very useful. So you should, I mean, you should try to include some reviewing process in your team. I think it's like the most useful thing ever, the merge recursivity. It takes a little bit of time, but once you get used to it, it shouldn't take it, at most like 5 minutes per review. So it's not that bad. Okay. Okay, so nice. My slides are down. And now it's the Q&A section. This is the things that I have some experience. So if you want to ask something about this, I can ask. And if you have any other questions, I'll try to answer if I can. Okay, so let me just check. Okay.
Hey, hi. Hi.
Okay. Someone's speaking, but their mic is very low. I can't hear it very good.
Hello, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can, but your can you turn up the volume or not? Mine is full, but
Wait. Can you hear me right now?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, it's not a question, maybe trying to add value to the presentation. I really enjoyed it. When you are working like an architect, one key factor to improve your work is understand the business needs, because you don't understand what you're doing in your industry. You can do it. You can do your work better.
Yeah. I mean, developers doesn't really understand the business side of the things most of the time. But if you try to understand, or if you did understand that, then you're gonna work as a whole team, because the project manager and developer, you guys, I mean, we are all trying to achieve the same goal, the end product. So we shouldn't be fighting our stupid things or the requirements, but we should be trying to make the product as fast as possible and is with the good quality. And okay, I don't know if that's answered your question. And I see that Kaustupa said, "How did you learn working simultaneously? Like how many hours you were learning daily?" Uh, I try to learn every day for about 30 minutes or 1 hour, because I can't make more time every day. And 1 hour is pretty optimal. I think it's optimal for most people. 1 hour is enough. I mean, at least 30 minutes is enough, because you are doing it every day, and that's what matters. If you're like skipping 2 days and 3 days and learning 3 hours one day and then skipping 3 days, it's not gonna be efficient. Our the brain works like uh, if you're repeatedly learning something again and again and again, it's going to be memorized better. So you should try to have a consistency. Maybe skip one day and learn 1 hour. That should be okay. And every day is kind of impossible, but try to have as close occurrences. Just try to do something at least, or just 5 minutes should be fine. Just review the cheat sheet or review the main concept. Okay, which certifications were helpful? I had three certifications on AWS, and they were cloud practitioner, solutions architect, associate, and professional. And those, the first one was really helpful. That was like the first certification I ever got, because when I learned cloud practitioner, I learned about all the other stuff that I didn't really know. I didn't really care, the infrastructure, the physical side, hardware things. I learned all about it, and then I built upon that one. So the others came as really easier. So I would say the first one is really helpful, and also the first one should be as generic as possible, because if it's generic, you can then learn other things on top of it. And I would just say AWS Cloud Practitioner for the purpose. You can look it up. So how skill set of PM compared to architect knows the technical stuff better, and PM knows the business stuff, the user convenience, UI, UX, and how is it going to be done, or the financial things. And architect knows about the infrastructure, the whole systems architecture, and a little bit more technical side. Okay, next one. Yes, the forgetting curve is a good topic to see. Yeah, of course, you forget, you learn things and immediately you start forgetting. So you have to refresh it to keep it memorized. Okay, so 18 BTR says, I haven't graduated from university. I have a year and a half more. Da, 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 da. From college to work. Okay, so 18 BTR. So I would suggest do the intern, the internship. Perhaps you just finish the internship and work at the company you interned for. I mean, I didn't really think about intern very much when I was in university, but later on I realized that internship is very useful and it's very important for getting a job. So think about that internship. That's my advice or my opinion. Yes, PM has more soft skills, of course. Yeah, if the PM have IT background, it's obviously very useful because they know what they're talking about. Okay, solutions architect of very tough core. Solutions architect associate is not that tough. It's not that hard. It's easier, but you have to know about it like beforehand. If you have the Google or Oracle or Azure certifications, then it should come easy to you. But if you don't, maybe you should try the cloud practitioner first because that's very easy. And after cloud practitioners, the solution architect will be easy after that. I think the VMware 360 questions are a little bit specific, and AWS solutions architect is a general and broad range of services and ideas. So I don't think I mean, VM certifications is helpful, but it's not that helpful for solutions architect. Try to, learn a bit and do the practice exam. If you feel like you can do it, go for it because people are afraid to get certifications or get the exam, take the exam. But after you give your first exam, after you take the exam, it comes easier. I don't know why, but it comes easier the more you do it. So don't be afraid. Don't just undervalue yourself and saying things to yourself like, I'm not good enough. I think you are good enough. I think everybody's good enough if they believe in themselves. So try to keep that in mind. Okay, I think I answered all the chats, right? If there is anyone else, just write or unmute yourself. And we have about 8 minutes left for the...
Yes, another question, my friend.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Maybe what was your strategy to get or achieve this AWS, the architect certification? What resource did you use?
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, I'm thinking you guys can see my screen. I wrote about my certification journey on Medium. If you guys are interested in the junior to senior, just check it out. And for the certifications, I used a lot of stuff, but at the end, I had like 3 things left. And the first one is this Linux Academy. A Cloud Group bought this one, so they are essentially the same now, but like 2 years ago, they weren't. And I used Linux Academy license, and there were lots of lessons in there, and the LabWorks, that LabWorks is like great. So you should try this one. It's a little bit expensive, but it's very good, Linux Academy. And the other one is AWS Official. I mean, the Microsoft Official is good. Like everybody has their official learning. AWS training, I think. Yes, training. Official learning stuff and materials. So you should try to learn from them. Okay, AWS. And you see this like, I don't know, 10, 12, 20 classes. And okay, which one is that? Okay, so solutions architect. This one is last year's. And all classes have labs and all the stuff. So you should try this one. A little bit expensive. And maybe you should like share it with others so it's easier. And the official the official learning materials are very good too, and they just updated it last year, so it's pretty good. Again, they're consequently updating and renewing, and also there's a lot of Udemy classes, but I don't like it. I used the Udemy classes at first, but there were a lot of errors and wrong ideas and out of date classes. So I try to steer away from Udemy free classes or $10 classes. They're not worth your time. That's just my advice. It could be wrong, but I don't like Udemy classes.
Thank you. And did you try Wizlab? Because some people recommend me that site.
Yes. Yes, I will share my Medium handle in Slack. This is it. I can just write it. You guys can check it out. Okay, what's the relationship between Architect and Microsoft Azure? I don't really understand Architect and Azure. You mean the AWS? As Microsoft Azure is like Microsoft's cloud, and AWS is Amazon's cloud. So I really don't understand it very much. I'm sorry, Cyril. Okay, so okay, we got 4 minutes left. If there's anything you guys want to ask, just shoot away.
Yeah, I'm Sahril. I would like to clarify my question. Because you explain about architect, I would like to know what is the benefit of, for example, you taking this course, Microsoft Azure, for you as an architect. That's actually my question. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? Because my speaker is not working very good.
Okay. I mean, what is this course Microsoft Azure will make you more benefit taking this course?
I don't know why, but I can't hear what you're saying. I mean, like, I can hear, but it's so low volume that I don't understand most of it. Can you just write it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear my voice?
Yeah, I can hear, but so low level that I don't really understand it. I'm sorry. It's probably with something with my headphones. Can you just repeat the question in chat or a little bit deliberately explain it in the chat?
Okay. I will explain in the chat then. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we got about 3 minutes. Oh, we have like 20, 30, a lot of people. I didn't think I had this much audience. Okay, let me just share my okay, this is the link to my blog about the junior to senior one. If you want, you can just read it and leave a comment, because I love the responses, not the silence. And I think we're gonna have to end the session in 1 or 2 minutes now. So thanks for everybody joining in. Leave a message or comment on Slack or Medium, whatever you use. I'll be happy to hear some responses and try to answer questions if you have any. And thank you for coming, guys.
Thanks to you.
Okay, now I understand. How is it going to give value? I think every new learning gives you value, but for this Azure, I learned that they have a 80 I mean, like 70% of the services similar to AWS, but there's the other 30% gives you new ideas of how the cloud works, how there's the new services, just like the region pair. In AWS, you can make a backup region, but there's no region pair idea in AWS. But in Azure, they have a region pair. So if one region goes down, all your stuff is on the other region. And just like that, there's a lot of new services, new ideas, and differences in the cloud computing. So AWS has some things, Google Cloud has some things, Microsoft has some things, and Alibaba has some other things. So when you learn just new cloud vendor, there's always something new that you can add to your arsenal that you can get ideas from. Okay, I'm hoping I answered your questions, Cyril. So we're gonna end it as it is. Thank you all. If you have questions, leave a message on Slack or Medium. And thank you guys.